Oh, is the microphone? I might need to adjust the camera. Okay, give me a thumbs up if the sound is coming through well. All right, I see a lot of thumbs. That's good. Tell me if the mic comes into the picture.
Shabbat shalom.
Is the mic in the picture?
The mic. Oh, we've got Batya. Hi, Batya.
Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Hi, Edgy.
Iggy's ready to go.
Shabbat shalom. Shabbat
We
shalom.
see that he's in his position. Hi, Batya. Paul,
Hi, Paul.
Nell, and Carol.
Shabbat shalom, maybe.
Everybody, Lynn,
Graham,
Lynn and
your
Shira,
lighting is beautiful.
Tim.
When Iggy's sitting next to you looking up, he's kind of reminds me of the RCA Victor dog, his master's voice.
Shabbat shalom to the Machatonim. Good to see you.
Shabbat shalom, Paul.
Likewise,
Hi.
Paul.
Thank you.
Good
You
Shabbos
too.
to you. A
Iggy
good
just
Shabbos
licked
to
my
you.
book. Just licked my book.
Yes, good Shabbos. Good Shabbos. And a good Shabbos.
He'll Shabbos us.
Well, we're going to get started,
Like a
so
shaking
you all
Iggy's
should go
head
ahead
and
and
say
mute
good
your screens.
And Tim, just for fun, I'm going to make you a co-host. All right. Whoops.
Will, just saying hi to Will. Will, sorry about your losses of your aunt and uncle.
All right. Good. We're going to start with Nigun. Shabbat Shalom. We'll continue welcoming one another in song. You can give a wave and say Shalom Aleichem, peace be upon you, as we are Malachim, messengers of peace this Shabbat. Not even going to give you a page number. All you need to know are the words Shalom Aleichem. Shalom, 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 Shalom Aleichem. Shabbat Shalom, welcome. We're glad to join you from our home. We're glad that you're joining us from your home, either on Zoom or on the live stream. My friend and colleague at the Rashi School, Stephanie Rotsky, when she teaches the children in her social justice class about Martin Luther King, talks about his big words, that the words that he shared with the world had a life of their own and an expansiveness that fills both time and space. We know and we've seen how much words can bring destruction so recently in our country, but we also know that big words, words like King's words, bring new worlds of peace and justice. So this Shabbat of MLK weekend, this Shabbat Tzedek, as URJ Reform congregations are celebrating across the country, we will bring in King's big words to serve as a reminder to do and to act, to serve as an inspiration for hope. We'll bring in melodies of the era of marching and civil rights, and we hope that it will reignite our passion. We're going to turn to pages 2 and 3 as we kindle our Shabbat candles, a source of hope and peace. And we are going to invite Lynn Kaminsky, who is a member of our social action committee and does so much righteousness in our world, and her daughter, Shira Kaminsky, who is our Naughty Youth Group Vice President of Social Action. So I'm just going to spotlight your screen, Shira and Lynn. Okay, you can go ahead.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshani b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'chadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Thank you. And
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. We're going to, there we go.
We're going to continue on page 20 with L'chadodi. Thank you to the Kaminskys for helping us bring in the light of Shabbat. We hope you've lit candles in all of your homes. And we're also glad to be joined this evening by our rabbinic and education intern, Batya Illinois, who will be sharing some of her music as well later on in the service. For now, we'll invite you to join with us, sing out in your homes. We're on page 20 in our Siddur. We'll join in verses 1, 2, 5, and 9 of L'chadodi. When we reach the last verse, you are welcome to rise in your home to welcome the Shabbat bride.
שמור וזכור בדיבור אחד, השמיענו אל המיוחד, אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד לשם ולתפארת, ולתהילה לך אדוני, לקראת עלה, פני שבת, פני שבת, נקרבנה. לקראת שבת, לכו ונלכה, כי מקור הברכה בראש מקדם, נעשוך סוף מעשה, במחשבה תפילה לך אדוני, לקראת עלה, פני שבת, פני שבת, נקרבנה. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי באורך, קומי אורי, 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 שיר דברי כבוד אדוני, עלייך נגלה לך אדוני, לקראת עלה, פני שבת, פני שבת, נקבלה. בואי ושלום, עטרת מעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה, בואי חלה, בואי חלה לך אדוני, לקראת עלה, פני שבת, פני שבת, נקבלה.
Continue on page 28 as we call one another to prayer, as we call one another to action, whether you're here on our Zoom screen, watching through our live stream, join together. Join in the English of Ma'ariv, Aravim, the changing of day into night, on the bottom of page 31. This is an hour of change. Within it, we stand uncertain on the border of light. Shall we draw back or cross over? Where shall our hearts turn? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? This is the hour of change, and within it, we stand quietly on the border of light. What lies before us? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? Baruch atah Adonai, Hama'ariv Aravim. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Use me, God. Show me how to take who I am and who I want to be and what I can do and use it for a purpose greater than myself. Baruch atah Adonai Ohev Amo Yisrael. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people, Israel. Join in Shema. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuta Leolam Va'ed. Page 36.
Could I ask you to speak a little louder, please?
Yes.
Thank you. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל
From letter from a Birmingham jail. Moreover, I am cognizant of the interrelatedness of all communities and states. I cannot sit idly by in Atlanta and not be concerned about what happens in Birmingham. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. We are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny. Whatever affects one directly affects us all indirectly. Never again can we afford to live with the narrow provincial outside agitator idea. Anyone who lives inside the United States can never be considered an outsider anywhere within its bounds.
Continue on page 40 with Micha Mocha, sung to an African folk melody. We've sung this before at Temple Beth David. We begin with the words, "We are walking in the light of God," reminding us of the ways that we can walk, the ways that we can march for good. And then we'll add the words Micha Mocha. We are walking in the light of God. 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 We are walking, we are walking, we are walking in the light of God. We are walking, we are walking, we are walking in the light of God. Micha mocha ba'elim Adonai, Micha mocha nedar b'kodesh, Micha mocha ba'elim Adonai, Micha mocha nedar b'kodesh, Norah tehilot tosef erev. We are walking in the light of God. We are walking in the light of God. We are walking in the light of God. V'namar kifad Adonai et Yaakov, ugalo miyad chazak mimenu, Baruch atah Adonai, Ga'al Yisrael. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. Join in Hashkivenu, page 42, as we pray for God's shelter of peace to spread over all of us, over all people. We begin with spiritual words of light. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Hashivenu Adonai, Eloheinu v'shalom, v'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Hashivenu Adonai, Eloheinu v'shalom, v'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Page 45, you're welcome to read with us. We are a people in whom the past endures, in whom the present is inconceivable without moments gone by. The Exodus lasted a moment enduring forever. What happened once upon a time happens all the time. We move into our tefillah, our central prayer on page 46. We'll begin together and then take a few moments for our own prayers and meditation. If you're able, we rise. Adonai sefatai tiftachu fi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei avoteinu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei
Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, V'Koneh Hakol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avot V'Imahot, U'Mevii Geula Livnei Bneihem, Leman Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen. Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham Bezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechaye HaKol atah Rav Le'Hoshia, Mashiv HaRuach U'Morid HaGashem, Mechakel Chaim Bechesed, Mechaye HaKol Berachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim Verofech Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Michamocha Bal Gevurot, Umidol Melach, Melech Memit Umechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua. V'ne'eman atah la'chayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kdoshim b'chol yom yahalelucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh. Blessed are you, Adonai, the holy God. Continue silently. As we continue with our silent meditation, I'm going to screen share another segment from the letter from the Birmingham jail, Words for Us to Take to Heart.
Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru amin. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, Shalom aleinu ve'al kol yoshvei tevel.
Thank you, Batya, for leading us in those words of peace. We're going to add prayers for healing, our world that is in need of healing, our loved ones who are ill at this time in need of healing and strength. You can find the words to Tisha B'Av on page 253. We especially pray for Colin Monroe, Jerry Seligman, Mary Lou Hole, Janet Watson, Paul Robillard, Elizabeth Hill, Kelso Silva, Enrico Mascaro, Deborah Booker, Dick Feibelman, Amy Seif, Robert Bloom, Annalie Stone, Bernard Tarr, Benjamin Horowitz, Bradley Dichter, Mateo Goldman, Judy Cook, Fruma Batharab, Jacob Vasonia, Jacob M., Dan Ruggiero, Harvey Grassfield, Toby Weiner, Svetlana Rabinovich, Yael Bat Chana V'Avraham, Devorah Bat Ruth V'Tzvi Dov. Invite Batya to lead us in our prayer for healing.
Misheberach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Misheberach Imotenu Mekor HaBracha Le'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
We wish all our loved ones refuah shlema, healing of body and spirit. Thank you again, Batya, for sharing your voice and sharing your prayer with our community. Actually, Batya will be sharing words of Torah next Friday night, next Shabbat, and we look forward to Batya sharing Devar Torah with us. Our Torah portion this week begins with a cry. God appears in the midst of the enslaved Israelites and says, I have now heard the moaning of the Israelites because the Egyptians are holding them in bondage, and I have remembered my covenant. Exodus chapter 6. Yet in this same chapter, when God reveals the promise to free the Israelites from their bondage, they cannot hear it. The Torah says, but when Moses told this, the promise of redemption to the Israelites, they would not listen to Moses, their spirits crushed by cruel bondage. The Hebrew kotzer ruach describes the diminished spirit of our ancestors that contributed to their inability to embrace the message that Moses brought them. Their experience was so crushing that they had lost faith in the ancient promise. They were incapable of grasping the hope of liberation and a better future. Perhaps this sounds familiar to us as we live through a period of unprecedented political turmoil and insurrection and an epidemic. Who has not had moments of kotzer ruach, our spirits diminished and exhausted, our faith tested, and our beliefs challenged? These past weeks in our country have been shocking and exhausting. We too have cried out. And yet, we have also witnessed examples of heroic leadership and compassion. We might do well to consider the following rabbinic charge. Pain and sorrow may challenge our faith, but courage to persevere in the face of adversity is a miracle. As long as there is compassion in the human heart and the will to act on a virtue, both human and divine, there is still reason to believe. These words echo back to Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who said, upon his acceptance of the Nobel Peace Prize in 1964, I believe that unarmed truth and unconditional love will have the final word in reality. This is why right, temporarily defeated, is stronger than evil triumphant. This Shabbat, this weekend, we commemorate King's life and legacy and all that he fought for. Each year, our nation pauses to remember and reaffirm our effort, and yet we have fallen short. It was not enough for George Floyd. It was not enough for Breonna Taylor or Ahmaud Arbery. It was not enough for the Black Lives Matter protesters last summer, who were met with overwhelming force. There is more work to be done. And yet, there is still reason to believe. On the evening of Wednesday, January 6th, I received an email from my oldest friend, Betsy, who lives in Athens, Georgia. We met at age 3, living a house apart on the same street in Belmont here in Massachusetts. We walked to school together nearly every day from kindergarten through our senior year in high school. My friend, who is not Jewish, is now a physician, and her husband is a professor at the University of Georgia. She shared some reflections that evening saying, I'm feeling like it's great to finally be part of the majority here living in the South. Definitely a new feeling for me. For the most part, I didn't hear a lot of political talk around the office or with patients. I think there's just so much division here, you can't assume the person you're speaking with is going to agree with you. For the most part, political stuff is taboo. It is amazing that this is the first year that Georgia has sent a Black or Jewish senator to Washington, and I am glad to be part of that. I want to take a moment, especially this Shabbat, to recognize and reflect on the historic significance of the Georgia Senate election. This unprecedented election of the Reverend Raphael Warnock, who holds Dr. King's pulpit at Ebenezer Baptist Church in Atlanta, and John Ossoff, the Jewish son of an immigrant, stands upon the state's longtime foundation of Black Jewish solidarity and shared values. Ossoff recalled how the first time he sat down for a meal with Congressman John Lewis as his intern, Lewis spoke to him about the historic bond between the Black community and Jewish community in Georgia. Ossoff grew up and became bar mitzvah at the large Reform synagogue in Atlanta known as the Temple, the same temple that had suffered the horrible bombing in 1958, reducing its ornate facade to rubble. Leading up to this act of hate, Rabbi Jacob Rothschild, the temple's rabbi, had preached openly against segregation and advocated for integration and the civil rights movement. Despite fear of retribution, Rothschild had invited Black leaders to events and services at the temple. Instead of quieting Rabbi Rothschild and congregants as intended, support for the civil rights movement grew exponentially after the bombing. Out of a historic history of hate against Black and Jewish Georgians, including the lynching of Jewish American Leo Frank in 1915, and decades of lynchings of Black men and women, grew a stronger partnership among the Jewish and Black communities. Sometime after the temple bombing, Rothschild became good friends with Dr. King. The rabbi helped organize a banquet in King's honor to celebrate his winning of the Nobel Peace Prize. And the rabbi gave the convocation, inviting hundreds of Atlantans, Black and white, Jewish and Gentile, to join hands in singing "We Shall Overcome." After King's assassination, Rothschild delivered his eulogy at the memorial service that was organized by Atlanta's combined clergy. Now, more than 50 years later, Warnock and Ossoff continue the legacy of unified leadership and partnership. Warnock recently reflected, at this moment when we are seeing a politics of division and an uptick in unabashed anti-Semitic expressions, racism, and xenophobia, the fact that a young Jewish man and the pastor of Martin Luther King Jr.'s church are running side by side bears witness to the best of the American covenant. Today, we are all witnesses. We have seen the worst of humanity with white supremacists storming and terrorizing our nation's capital. It is up to us to represent the best of humanity, to recognize and celebrate the diversity of our experiences, to help spread the message of equality and inclusion for people of all colors, all faiths, and all orientations. Yolanda Savage Narva, the Union for Reform Judaism's Director of Racial Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion, calls on each of us in the Jewish community to do three things. Number one, acknowledge that we have work to do, both as a Jewish community and as individuals. Number two, to recognize the diversity within our Jewish community and understand that in order to tackle racial inequities outside our community, we first must do this within our community. And number three, to use the mirrors, windows analogy, to remember to both reflect inward and to look outward, to see what work remains to be done and where we must improve. Vayera is a Torah portion full of inspiring revelation, ancient promises fulfilled, and the beginning of our people's liberation. It is also a cautionary passage, a reminder of how our spirits can get crushed, how we might be inclined to give up the fight, to give up hope. This Shabbat, let us reaffirm our commitment to work together, to strengthen and elevate our diminished spirits, so that we can all reflect the best of our humanity. Shabbat Shalom. I'm going to turn our screen back to Batya.
We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday. We'll walk hand in hand. We'll walk hand in hand. We'll walk hand in hand someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall walk hand in hand someday. we shall overcome starting today. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you, Batya. Thank you, Rabbi Karen, for meaningful words and music. I'm going to share my screen with a special video message from Jeremy Pincus, who is another member of our social action committee here at Temple Beth David. And then I'm going to turn it over to Lynn Kaminsky briefly. There's a lot that we do and even more that we can do as a congregation when it comes to social action. And so Jeremy's going to share a brief video message that will hopefully inspire you to get involved in terms of something that you care about.
Good Shabbos, Temple Beth David, on this Martin Luther King Jr. weekend. And thank you, all of you, and to the rabbis for giving me the opportunity to speak on behalf of the Social Action Committee about a thing that we're working on called What Do I Care About? As you all probably know, the Social Action Committee has sort of focused their resources and efforts on a couple of issues: homelessness and hunger. For homelessness, it would be Habitat for Humanity projects. For hunger, it's things like Father Bill's and the Sunday Sandwich Fevra and the Family Table. However, being a Jewish community, we realized that lots of people are taking initiative in lots of different areas. We had done a little program last year where a big poster was put up on the wall, and people were encouraged to write what it is that they care about, what were their issues. And instead of it being the 2 to 3 issues that the Social Action Committee focuses on, I think there were something like 25 different issues that were represented there that people are deeply passionate about.
He's got to turn up on his
or
computer.
in many cases doing projects. The result of that is we would like to encourage people to begin to sort of self-organize into small collectives, informal, not formal. We're certainly not talking about committees, but getting people together who share common interests in whatever it is, whether it's the environment or stopping gun violence or LGBTQ issues or whatever it is. If they're passionate about that, we'd like to connect them with other people who are also passionate about those issues so that they can sort of, get more done and enjoy the company of people who are interested in those issues. The next stage of this process that we have anticipated is that we'll do a survey that would go out to everybody in the temple, simply asking them, what do you care most deeply about? This is a way that we can basically come up with those lists of people who are actually interested in each one of those, so that we can begin to encourage them to pair up and get together to start these sort of new collectives. So that's the vision. We're not there yet. We still haven't quite composed the survey, but it's coming soon, and you'll be hearing more about this in the coming weeks, hopefully. That's the message from the Social Action Committee. So thanks very much.
And I'm going to turn it over to Lynn Kaminsky just as we're in the midst of our 60th anniversary celebration. Okay, Lynn.
Okay, so I'm going to attempt to share my screen. Hold on. Oops. Oh, okay. I'm not? Sorry. I know it was a little bit hard to hear Jeremy, but there will be a survey coming out from the Social Action Committee. And in the meantime, as a way of celebrating the 60th anniversary of the temple, sorry, nothing like technology. Hang on for a sec. Stop share. I apologize. All right. Well, I was trying to show you on the Temple website, if you go to social action, there is a Give 60 campaign. And if you click on that, there's a Padlet where you can share something that you have done as an act of social action to celebrate the things that you care about, but also might help honor the 60th anniversary of Temple Beth David. I'm going to try the screen share one more time, except that it seems
You know
to
what,
disappear.
Lynn,
So, never mind.
you
Yep.
can't, apparently the Temple website is down. It's like multiple.
Oh, that would explain a lot. Okay.
That's
All right. So if you go to the social action page and click on Give 60, there's a Padlet, which basically allows you to click on it. I want to thank Connie Rizzoli and Amy Cook for their help getting it up, and also my son Meyer, who posted on it as well about different ways that we gave 60. And we hope many, many people will add the ways that they gave 60 in honor of Temple Beth David's 60th anniversary. And thank you, Rabbi. I'm all set.
Thank you, Lynn and Jeremy, and there are so many more who are involved in the social action committee. I know if I name them, I'm going to neglect to name some, but Will Krasnow is on, Jeff Greenwald, Connie Rizzoli, Gail Mann. I know I'm David and Debbie Grossbaum. Also, let's see. There are so many wonderful active members of the committee, and they're trying to engage us. So that's wonderful. By the way, what you just saw was our Aleinu L'Shabeach prayer tonight, because that prayer says that we should L'Taken Olam B'Malchut Shaddai, that we should repair the world in God's image. And that was a message to help us achieve that vision of which our liturgy speaks.
Before we move into Mourner's Kaddish and our concluding song, I just want to mention, again, so many ways to be involved and continue our connection at Temple Beth David. You're welcome to join our Chevra Leiled Shabbat morning minyan tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Mark Albion, who I believe is on the screen with us tonight, will be leading the prayer and teaching Torah. So that should be just a wonderful way to continue to celebrate Shabbat. This Tuesday evening, Batya Illinois, our rabbinic and education intern, is offering a special class 7:00 p.m. through Zoom on the book of Exodus, and especially around understanding the mysterious repeated phrase of hardening Pharaoh's heart. She'll be sharing some commentaries to understand that text at a deeper level, and also looking at ways to respond to our own hearts and our own times. And we are so blessed to have Batya in our community, again, sharing her voice, sharing her Torah. As I said earlier, next Shabbat evening, next Friday night, Batya will also be giving the Devar Torah. So thank you, Batya. You can read your weekly shofar email for other classes, programs, services that are coming up, and we hope that you will join us. Again, sisterhood, brotherhood also continue to be very active, and lots of ways that we can keep up our connections.
So we turn to moments of Kaddish, moments of memory. We turn to the last sermon that Dr. King gave, in some ways a self-eulogy. The I Have Been to a Mountaintop sermon that he gave on April 3rd, 1968 in Memphis, Tennessee, during the sanitation workers' strike. He said, "Well, I don't know what will happen now. We've got some difficult days ahead. But it doesn't matter with me now, because I've been to the mountaintop. And I don't mind. Like anybody, I would like to live a long life. Longevity has its place. But I'm not concerned about that now. I just want to do God's will. And he's allowed me to go up to the mountain. And I've looked over, and I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people We'll get to the promised land, and I'm happy tonight. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord. Along with Dr. King this Shabbat, we recall those who died in recent days. Robert Wiseman, husband of Joyce Wiseman, Rabbi Leonard Zoll, friend of Rabbi Henry Zub, Benjamin Wang, son of David and Debbie Wang, brother of Sam, Masando Hayashi, friend of Avi Glazer, Leon Blumberg, uncle of Marcy and Will Krasnow, Evelyn Blumberg, aunt of Marcy and Will Krasnow, and Ruth Weisel, aunt of Elena Sharanow. It is the yard site in the Shabbat of Abraham Glasgow, Yetta Goldstein, Ada Just, Enid Lane, Albert Linsky, Alan Lurie, Max Marchand, Sidney Mayer, Jorge Mills, Phyllis Minkum, Aaron Mickey Olem, Helen Plummer, Charles Preisler, Murray Preisler, Jacob Richmond, Ruben Rothblatt, Lois Gross Schneider, Morris Silverleib, Robert Springer, Eileen Stryer, Nina Lee Warnick, Claire Watsky, Sarah Magidson, Blossom Levy, and Goldie Sternstein. I invite you to share the names of loved ones, to speak their names in your heart or on your lips, and we'll rise and join together in words of Mourner's Kaddish on page 294. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon v'yomechon u'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, b'agalau v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'lamei amaya, yitbarach v'yishabach v'yipa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei t'kusha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiram be'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama Rabba min shamaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. May the source of peace bring peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved. We say together, amen. In a moment, I'm going to screen share our closing song. They take the famous teaching of Rabbi Hillel, if not now, tell me when. And it's expanded by the folk singer Carrie Newcomer and friend of Liana Fraser and Brenda Fraser into a beautiful melody and message for this Shabbat. And it's also an honor, Liana, to be playing your dad's guitar, and we remember him as well as we sing this song.
We know our service was a little longer tonight, but thank you to the members of our Social Action Committee. Thank you, Batya. And as we get ready to sing, you can also have your challah and wine or grape juice ready. We'll then join in our Shabbat blessings and unmute, and you can greet each other for our Zoom oneg. I also forgot to mention this Sunday at 10 a.m. for the little ones.
Yeah,
for little ones, but anyone I suppose can count. 10 o'clock a.m. we're going to have a pray and play on our new Barbara Zub intergenerational playground that is just attracting the excitement of kids everywhere. So we're saying kind of toddlers through grade 6, and at least one parent, you can email me if you'd like to come. There's some grandparent, yes. But there's some health consents you have to sign. Outdoors only, a little praying, a lot of playing. 10 a.m. this Sunday. We may even do a march for tzedek, for justice around the Temple building.
To fill in optional, right? Tefillin optional. All right. Batya like that. I can see her smiling. If not now, tell me when. If not now, tell me when. We may never see this moment or place in time again. If not now, tell me when. I see sorrow, trouble in this land. I see sorrow, trouble in this land. Although there will be struggle, we'll make the change we can. If not now, tell me when. I may never see the promised land. I may never see the promised land. And yet we'll take the journey. We'll walk it hand in hand. If not now, tell me when. If not now, tell me when. If not now, tell me when. We never see this moment or place or time again. If not now, tell me when. Well, we'll work until it's done. Every daughter, every son, every soul that's ever longed for something better, something brighter. And it will take a change of heart for this to mend. And it will take a change of heart for this to mend. But miracles do happen every shining now and then. If not now, tell me when. If not now, tell me when. If not now, tell me when. And miracles do happen every shining now and then. If not now, tell me when. If not now, tell me when. We'll invite you to hold up your Kiddush cup and get your challah ready. Let's join in our Shabbat blessings. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron lemaaseh v'reishit ki hu yom techila lemikrae kodesh Zecher Litziat Mitzrayim, Kivanu v'acharta, ve'otanu kidashta, mikol ha'amim, ve'shabbat kodshecha, ve'ahava uvratzon, Hinchaltanu, Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. L'chaim.
L'chaim. We're going to make sure we can see one another. You're welcome to unmute for Motzi. As you can see, our dog Iggy knows that it is time for challah. All right, let's join together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz, Shabbat Shalom. Shalom, everyone.
L'chaim.
There's an echo because.
That was beautiful, beautiful service. Thank you so much.
That was a really special service. I agree. Wonderful. All of you.
My
Lots of
God,
good readings, MLK.
I got very emotional, I want you to know.
Thank you so much, Patya.
Hey, Yona, where's your brother? Oh, there he is. Hi, Itai.
No, Itai's cooking.
Grammy and I miss you very much, boys.
Yeah.
Good to see everybody.
Good to see everyone.
Much love.
How's Leon?
Getting better.
Thank you for this beautiful
Shabbat
service.
shalom,
It was
everybody.
wonderful.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat
Shalom, everyone.
Goodbye.
And Will, again,
Okay.
Leon for your.
Shabbat shalom.
Got the same smile as him.
Thank you.
Thank you, Batya.
Welcome. Thank you, Shalom, David.
Bless you, David.
Evelyn.
Shabbat Shalom, California, Illinois.
Yeah, appearances.
Oh, that's cool.
Bacha, you look like your mother.
You look just like your mother.
You have the same smile. No offense to the father, but
David, I used to look like him when I was born and I had no hair.
yes, well, the smile is definitely your mother. Your
Yeah,
mother.
definitely.
Hey, Batya, you don't tease guys about their hair, you know?
Only my dad and
Absolutely.
my brother. That's
You
it.
tease us about our weight, that's okay, but not the hair.
Boyfriend agrees.
Got a good head of hair.
Yeah.
He's doing just fine. He has no problem.
I'm leaving. Bye, everybody.
Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Shalom.
Shalom.
Shabbat
Stay
shalom.
safe, stay well.
You'll get to see the speech on video.
No more challah for you, Iggy.
The internet's not working at Temple, so there's no live stream.
Rabbi Karen, Rabbi.
Shabbat shalom all.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
This is still recording, but
Send us some warm weather from California.
I know.
It's a little cold here.
Shabbat
Thank
shalom.
you, Batya.
You're welcome.
Have a nice
Thank you.
Shabbat.
Shabbat Shalom.
You.
Liana, let Carrie know we sang her song tonight.
Yeah.
All right. Very good.
All right, Shabbat Shalom, Will.
Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Yeah, I tell him. Bye-bye.